Hello and welcome. In this session we'll explore some of the more commonly used functions in the Xform menu. As you look at the screen, the x-axis is from left to right, the y-axis is laying vertically on the screen, and the z-axis is pointing straight at you. Our origin, our x0, y0, z0, is at the center of this grid. Let's move up into Xform, and the first thing that we're going to look at is Xform Rotate. Now here's my first prompt: select entities to rotate. What I'm going to do is select this small circle. Now I've completed the selection process, so what I'm going to do is move up, and in the general selection ribbon bar over on the right hand side, I'm going to click on this green button to end the selection and move on to the next stage. Now over on the left in the rotate dialog box, you can see the radio button is turned on for copy. I'm going to keep the original geometry. Now sliding over to the left, the number of items we're going to copy is set to 1. I'm going to change this to 3 and then hit enter. Now as we move off just to the right, you can see the radio button is turned on for angle between, and we also have another option here, total sweep, the total angular sweep. Now I'm just going to slide on down and click in this white space and input 90 degrees. This is our angle between, positive 90, and then hit enter. Now as my preview is turned on, you can see the result of this rotate operation. We have 3 items and the angle between is 90 degrees. Now we were doing a rotate where the center point was the origin, the x0, y0. Now if we have to pick another point, it's not a convenient situation like this where we have the center at x0, y0. Let's click on this button to define a new center point. Now the prompt, select the point to rotate about. As I move to the center of this arc, you can see there is a visual cue there that I'm going to snap to the center of this arc. So I'm going to pick it. Everything's good here. I'm going to move on down to the bottom of this dialog box and hit the green check mark for OK. I'm just going to slide up now to the toolbar icon for clear colors and hit it. Now before we move back into Xform, what I'm going to do is undo this rotate operation. Now let's go into Xform, and the next thing that we're going to check out is Xform Mirror. Now my first prompt is select entities to mirror. I'm going to pick this small circle, and that's it. To move on to the next stage, I'm going to move up to the right and click on the green button for end selection. Now what I'd like to do is mirror this small circle about the x-axis. Now moving up to the top of the mirror dialog box, the radio button is turned on for copy, so we're going to keep our original geometry, and what I'd like to do is mirror about the x-axis. So I'm going to turn this radio button on. Now just below, some of the other options are to mirror about the y-axis. Down below we can mirror about an angular axis. We can also select a line in the graphics window to mirror about, and at the very bottom we can mirror about 2 points. Now as my preview is turned on, you can see the result of this mirror operation, and everything looks good here. I'm going to go over back to the mirror dialog box and click on OK. Now before we move on to the next function, I'm going to hit undo. Let's go into Xform, and this time I'm going to select Xform Scale. Now the first prompt, select the entities to scale. What I'm going to do is draw a window around these entities. So I'm going to pick a point and drag to the right and down and then pick. And as you can see, I've selected these 2 entities. Now let's move on to the next step. I'm going to pick end selection. Now over on the left in the scale dialog box, you can see we've got the radio button on for copy. To keep keep our original geometry. But what I'm going to do is slide off to the left and turn on move. I'm going to delete the original geometry. Now as we move down, we've got the number of items set to 1. I'm going to leave that as is, and down below in the scale factor we've got it set to 1. What I'm going to do is change it from 1 to 0.5 half scale and then hit enter. Now our preview is turned on, and on the right in the graphics window we've scaled down our geometry. I'm done here. I'm going to pick OK. I'm also going to move up and pick undo. Let's go back into Xform, and this time right at the very top we're going to check out Xform Translate. I'm prompted to select the entities to translate. What I'm going to do now is pick this circle. I want to move on to the next step. I'm going to click on End Selection. Now over on the left, copy is turned on, so I'm going to leave that as is. Number of items we're going to copy is 1. Down below in the delta XYZ section, I'm going to click in this white space for the Y value and input -1 and then hit enter. Now as preview is turned on, you can see over in the graphics window I've just translated that circle down in Y -1. Now let's move on back, and for the number of items I'm going to change that from 1 to 2 and then hit enter. So here's our second item, and these circles are 1 inch between centers. I'm finished here, so I'm going to click on OK. I'm going to also move up and do an undo. Let's go back into Xform, and next we're going to check out Xform Offset. Now the first prompt, select the line, arc, spline or curve to offset. What I'd like to do is offset this arc, so I'm going to pick it, and the next prompt, indicate the offset direction. I can pick outside or inside, so I'm going to pick inside. Now if we move over to the left in the offset dialog box, the distance is presently set to 1 inch. That's our offset distance. I'm going to change it from 1 inch to 0.5 and hit enter. Now just below distance is the direction button. I'm going to pick on it, and as you can see it's flipped over to the other side. I'm going to hit it again, both sides, and I'm going to hit it one more time. So the distance, the offset distance, is 0.5. I'm done here, so I'm going to pick OK. I'm also going to go up and do an undo, and just slide off to the right and click on Fit. Now I'm just rotating the wheel on my mouse. Let's go back into Xform, and we're going to check out Xform Offset Contour. Now the first prompt, select chain 1. What I'm going to do is select this horizontal line. I'm going to pick it, and as you can see highlighted in yellow, it's successfully chained the geometry. I'm finished here, so I'm going to move over to the left. At the bottom of the chaining dialog box I'm going to pick on OK. Now at the very top we have the radio button turned on for copy. I'm going to leave that as is. As we slide over to the left, the number of items we're going to copy is set to 1. Now down in distance it's set to 0.5. I'm going to change that to 0.25 and hit enter, and as you can see there's our new magenta chain with the offset at 0.25. I'm going to pick OK and then move on up and do an undo. Let's go back up into Xform. The last thing that we're going to check out here is Xform Drag. Now I'm prompted, select entities to drag. Well, what I'm going to do is move on up and open up this drop down and pick window, and if I just slide to the left and open up this drop down, I'm going to pick in plus. Now Window In Plus selects entities that lie completely inside and entities that intersect the window. So what I'm going to do is draw a window starting here and then moving on down to the right and pick a point here. And as you can see, it's picked these entities highlighted in yellow. Now to move on to the next stage, I'm going to click on End Selection. Now on this ribbon bar, the first thing I'm going to do is turn on Stretch. I'm going to slide over to the left, and I'm also going to turn on Move. Select the starting point. So what I'm going to do is move on down and pick a point here, and then pick another point over here. Now I'm done here. I'm going to pick on OK in the ribbon bar, and we've stretched those entities. Now let me undo this operation, and let's go back into Xform and do another Xform drag. Now I'm prompted to select these entities, so I'm going to draw a window just like I did before. Now to move on to the next stage, I'm going to hit End Selection. Again, I'm prompted to select the starting point, so I'm going to move on down and pick the same point as I did before. And for this next point, what I'm going to do is move up to the ribbon bar, click in the X value and type in 2. I'm going to hit the tab to move on over. I'm going to input 0. I'm going to hit tab again and then hit enter. And what I've done is stretched these entities 2 inches in the X. Now I'm done here. I'm going to move up to the ribbon bar and pick OK. And that completes our tour of Xform.